How is it going, everyone? I know we're gonna have to begin. Oops, fucking right out the bat with the copyright strike. I need to start having these videos on the ready, but without the music in the background. Like just download them, but absolutely no audio file to it, because that is what kills you in the copyright realm, my friends. So if you guys recall, today we had some good news, some kind of like a normal-ish news in the Star Wars fandom. Let's see, get some of this stuff going while we get more people coming into the stream. Like this, Bad Batch, restate, go. So, yeah, the big one for the day is the Bad Batch series officially gets its release date. It will be May the 4th, because May the 4th be with you. I stupidly thought that if it's a month of May, that does not mean it's spring, because for me, May is my birthday month anyways. And so I'm always like, oh, it's summer, because I'm used to May being a summer month, because Texas, everything is hot. But little did I know, it's spring, because, you know, Star Wars Only is a stupid man. But yeah, Stephanie says, you said you had 3 scoops. I think I have 3. I'm trying to lay out how I'm going to announce everything. I had a small, not scoop, but like more details about the Qui-Gon Jinn thing yesterday, that Lucasfilm was talking to Liam Neeson. They'd been in talks with him, and then that he was, the Lucasfilm was also talking to Mace Windu. But maybe more on that later. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to that, and I'm really sketch on how to say things, and really scared about the reaction to it all. But yeah, Bad Batch series coming out May the 4th, and I'm excited for it. I don't know how many episodes are going to be in this. I wasn't overly excited when they announced it, but like when you watch the animation, I mean, it looks really cool. I mean, it looks like Clone Wars Season 8, honestly. It looks to me that it could be better than Season 7 of the Clone Wars, because I know a lot of us, hear me out before you get mad. A lot of people are going to say, hey, Season 7 was perfect. It was great. The first 8 episodes were mind-numbingly boring. I did not care for the sisters arc. I honestly, I remember one of the days I was trying to watch it. I had missed multiple episodes of Season 7, and then out of nowhere, I was like, all right, I'm just going to binge it. I watched the Bad Batch arc. It was Clone Wars. I mean, it was normal. But then we got to the sisters arc with Ahsoka, and I didn't like it at all, man. I fell asleep like 3 times trying to rewatch it, so that's just not my cup of tea. But Siege of Mandalore was perfect. This just looks like Season 8 of the Clone Wars. The animation, it looks, if anything, improved. I mean, these guys look really realistic and great. So this should be fun. Fennec Shan's going to be in there. Bo-Katan, Commander Cody. I think we just saw him right there. So we have a lot to look forward to in the series. If you're into clones, if you like clones, this is going to be your kind of niche community that you would want to go for. All right, going through some of the comments. If you guys have anything you want to ask, please feel free to ask them. If you have any super chats you want to give to us, by all means, we will gladly take your money, because that's what YouTube's pretty much all about these days. Let me get my normal B-roll footage up and ready to go, so we don't have to constantly watch just the Bad Batch stuff. Also, Tatooine. I think I have I guess not an announcement for it, but I'm planning on bringing that back in mid-March. Me, Lunga, and Goldman were all working on dates and certain days that would work best for us, and just figured that out. We're working on getting a new intro, working on getting we already have a new logo. We have a new logo and thumbnail, not thumbnails per se, but we have a new logo for Tatooine. I think you guys are going to really like. I'm working on hiring someone for a new intro. Been searching around, found a few people to reach out. And then also I have a scoop to give out that very same day that we premiere Tatooine Season 2. So I have a lot of stuff that I worked on for Season 2 premiere, because I really wanted to launch the next season around the time Bad Batch released, but that's coming out on May 4th now. So, you know, March is about a month and a half ahead of time, which isn't awful. It just means that we'll do probably 2 episodes in March, and then maybe 1 or 2, maybe even 3 or 4 in April, leading up into the Bad Batch series, because there's going to be plenty of Star Wars news, I would hope, during that time anyways. So Tatooine Season 2, look for it in the next 2 to 3 weeks, should be back. So I'm excited about that. excited to give you guys a lot of the information on the scoops that I've been able to give or get over the past few days. I was surprised by the stuff I learned, and I think you will too. But we'll talk about that when the time comes. But we have Bad Batch, and also there was a report today that came out saying that the Republic Commando video game, I think it was an Xbox exclusive back in the day when it initially came out, is getting a remaster, but it's going to be on PlayStation 4. It's not even technically a remaster. It's updated graphics. It's meant to be on the PlayStation software, and it's from that same company, Aspire, who's been doing all the remasters, and I forget the name of it that they call it to put it on like a modern generation of console. But they're basically bringing all the old Star Wars games, like Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I think they did a few others. KOTOR 1 and 2, they did the remakes for those. For modern generation of consoles, and Aspire is apparently working on the next KOTOR game. That's something that's been rumored for a while. I'm the only one who's happy that Republic Commando is back. That's something that a lot of people wanted for 15 plus years now, a sequel to it, because it really ended on a big cliffhanger of what happened to Sev. And apparently one of the game developers said that there was 2 alternate endings for it in terms of where they were going to take the story. One was going to be that you continued to play as Delta Squad, but you would go into Order 66. Like your missions would be to take out Jedi, which I think would have been a great route to go. And then another one, which is still cool, but you know, it's been done a time or two, and it's kind of older, in my opinion, as an idea and a concept. And it would be having Sev be Sev, I don't know why I said Seb. Sev would be the first rebel, like in the Rebel Alliance, and he would work on trying to get his former, clone brothers in the Delta Squad out of the chips and all that stuff, and kind of out of the Empire. J&T Cobb says, Star Wars Only, since the 2023, 2025, and 2027 release date slots are probably already filled, when do you think the Rian Johnson trilogy will release, if it happens at all? Well, from speculation, we know 2023 is filled with what's her name, Patty Jenkins. That's for sure thing, written in stone. That's how that's going to go out. 2025 seemingly is a Taika Waititi Star Wars movie. 2027 isn't confirmed to be anybody, and neither is 2025. But we can all make the most educated guess that Taika Waititi is doing the 2025 Star Wars film. 2027, though, I personally have speculated that will be the Kevin Feige Star Wars film, just because we now have a writer for it. It's kind of the open slot, but there's 2 other options. There is J.D. Dillard, who is reported by the Hollywood Reporter, who's extremely credible, of course, writing and directing his own Star Wars movie. They didn't say if it was a Disney Plus release or a theatrical release. And the reason his movie is not going to be the Kevin Feige movie is because J.D. Dillard is writing the movie with someone else. So whoever's writing, I can't remember the guy's name who is writing the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie. We don't know when that's going to release. We don't know when the J.D. Dillard Star Wars movie is going to release. We also don't know when Rian Johnson's would as well. The 2027 release date, though, would be great for Rian Johnson to start his new trilogy for this reason and this reason only. It would be 10 years after The Last Jedi, which is crazy to talk about this, 6 years down the line and be like, oh, we got to look back 10 years and whatnot. Like a decade didn't just go by. So Rian Johnson could theoretically put out his movie on December 17th, 2027. Would that be the actual date? Let me look at my trusty iPhone calendar real quick and go to 2027, 2025, 7. So, yep, that Friday, that normal Star Wars release date would be December 7th, 2020, December 17th, 2027. So, Rian Johnson, I think that's his birthday as well, could theoretically put out his trilogy then. We have no idea what's happening with that. I have said for a while now that Kathleen Kennedy will likely be the reason his trilogy even continues if she stays on as Lucasfilm president past 2021. But, I have... I'll talk about that later. Lord Vader, we talk about your scoops on the stream? Probably not too much. No, I want to. Well, my plan with that is I'm going to make a video about the big one, because it's big. It's. I was in denial when I first heard it, because I was like, you can't be. And I trust my source with my life. Like, this isn't just someone that, like, I know through the industry. This is someone who's actually like a good friend, like someone that I talk to on the phone, and we're friendly, we're very cordial, and met him and everything. Very, very good people. So I'm pretty much, I was pretty in denial about what I first heard, and the reason I'm almost scared to even say anything is because not only could it, of course, probably not come to fruition, just because there's a lot of deal making that goes on behind the scenes, but also the scoop I have sounds like Mike Zero Doomcock shit. Like the assistant for the channel, a guy named Wyatt, very good friend. I've told him what the scoop was, and he was like, "Dude, you got to be real careful telling that to people, because that's gonna be hard to sell." And so yeah, I'm a little nervous about that one. But what I'm planning to do is making a video about the big scoop, and then in Tatooine season 2, I will continue on with more details about it, more of the nitty gritty, and kind of like a side scoop to it. So I'm planning on giving you guys all the details that I can over a little bit. I did learn a little bit of stuff about the behind the scenes stuff with like the making of the sequels. That was kind of interesting. How many episodes do you expect the Bad Batch season 1 to be? I would probably say 12. I mean, how many were season 7 of the Clone Wars? I think that one was 12 because it did 3 arcs, 4 episodes each. And before that, I think they always did like 16 to 24 episodes. So I'm not expecting 24 episodes from the Bad Batch series, but 12 I think would be a reasonable number, but that should be the minimum. I think 12 to 16, even 20 would be something really nice, because it would be really disappointing if it was only 12, or if they go below that 8. It's like, man, I understand cutting production cost and everything in the budget, but this would be something to keep the audience of Star Wars entertained for a little while. And if you're only doing 8 or 6, I mean, Jesus Christ, if it was 6, I think we'd all have a right to be like, okay, I'm not even going to watch it now until it's all said and done, I guess. But I think 12 at the minimum is what we should expect. And we're getting 2 within the first week, May 4th and May 7th, that very Friday. So if we get 10 episodes after that, we'll have the Bad Batch series for 2 months. It starts in May, June, so it would end in early July. Let's say we get Star Wars Visions. Does anyone remember how many episodes Star Wars Visions was? Let me look that up. Star Wars Visions. Didn't they have it on StarWars.com? Come on, here we go. Because I think if Star Wars Visions has a certain number of episodes, we can kind of guesstimate how this is going to go throughout the year. 10 fantastic visions. Okay, so there's going to be 10 episodes to Star Wars Visions. So that's also going to be 2 months. So at minimum, we have 4 months out of the year that are going to be taken over by Star Wars Animation. And it has to lead into December of this year, which we'll see Book of Boba Fett. So, geez. I'm trying to do it here. So if we do May, the month of May is Bad Batch, May to June, and then we have a little bit like ending it in July. So let's just say that's the month of July. We're not going to get anything else. July, and then we have August for the first 4 episodes of Visions. September for the other half, and then kind of ends September, October. So it ends in October. You get a month and a half off in October and November, and then December we would get the Book of Boba Fett. That would make sense timeline-wise, and like you never want to have a show overlap each other when it comes to Star Wars. Who cares about Marvel? Because that's going to overlap with Star Wars a lot going forward on Disney Plus. So I guess we could expect 12 episodes minimum, and then what we'll see is, the Bad Batch probably end in around July, and then about a month later get the Visions show, and then that would end probably in October, if not a little bit before, and then we'll be done with that. All the Star Wars animation stuff is done for the year. Get a month or 2 break from Star Wars shows, and then we'll get Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett. So that's going to be pretty cool. Apparently, Delta Squad cameoed in the Clone Wars. Would be nice to get something to fit into the new canon. There have been talks about it for a while, like something called Imperial Commando. That came out, I think, 2, maybe even 3 years ago. Haven't heard anything since. Don't forget, guys. There's a lot of things that EA Star Wars was working on for a long time, and they just there's Ragtag, of course. There's Rise to Power or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that we learned from certain people that was canceled, But there's also a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes in terms of video games that were being made that were never announced, to be canceled, that certain games and industry insiders and whatnot could never get their hands on. Journalists like Jason Schreier probably could get his hands on the information, but there's just so many things that EA canceled that we never heard about. And one of those could have been a Delta Squad sequel or a Delta Squad game, remaster, whatever. So EA, when I mean they dropped the ball on Star Wars, I mean they really dropped the ball. It's kind of weird how lenient some people are being towards EA, because you look at some of the posts that people put up where they'll show LucasArts within 1 year, and they have like 5 games within 1 year, and they were all really good, like Lego Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. I forget what other games there were, but it was a pretty good list. I think I posted it on my Instagram not too long ago. And speaking of which, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's in the description. So is my Twitter and my Discord server. So yeah, the post says EA within 10 years, and they put out Star Wars: The Old Republic, Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, Jedi Fallen Order, and Star Wars Squadrons. And then LucasArts within 1 year, and this was in the early 2000s. It's only 4 games, so I misspoke. It's not 5, but it's Episode 3, the first Lego Star Wars video game, Battlefront 2, the OG, so this was 2005, and then Republic Commando. All 4 of those are instant classics. Not even instant classics, but they have been classics since then, and everyone loves those games. So the fact that they can LucasArts put out 4 games in 1 year, as opposed to EA's 10 years and 5 games, where, first of all, Battlefront 1 and Star Wars Squadrons should not even be considered real video. I mean, Squadrons, I'll be a little bit more lenient towards. But still, I mean, those 2 games are very, very small in scale. And then Battlefront 2 had a huge controversy. The best one that they had was Jedi Fallen Order. I mean, that was perfect. So EA really fucked up when it came to Star Wars video games. And I understand people saying that, oh, well, when LucasArts was making video games, the development time was different. Okay, that's for one developer, though. LucasArts is not a developer. It is a studio. They don't develop and just make the games by themselves. They use different studios. That's what I like about the idea of Lucasfilm Games, is that we're going into a new era of video games where now we're going to be able to have multiple studios and multiple developers working on different Star Wars projects. And that's what we had with LucasArts, because it wasn't just one person making every single video game for LucasArts. It was multiple studios, and that's why we had a lot of different games releasing in a very small time frame. We're not getting that with EA, and even though they have multiple developers, so it takes longer to make video games, but they have multiple developers to work on these games. EA fucked up the Star Wars license royally. EA CEO Andrew Wilson is the guy's name. He's the main reason for that. He doesn't want to work on properties that they don't own, so he didn't really care about it. And honestly, if I was a shareholder of EA stock, I would ask him to be, let go. Just in general, he's an idiot. I mean, you guys seen how he has handled Anthem and other projects over there at EA. He should not be in the position he is in. He's a fucking idiot. He has no idea who his audience is, definitely when it comes to Star Wars, but I'm not even going to critique him on that. That wasn't even a deal that he wanted. He just came into that deal at the beginning of it. So he kind of was handed a golden potato that he did not want to eat. All right, going through some of the comments. Victor says, if we are only getting 2 episodes, when will the others release? He's talking about the Bad Batch series. The Bad Batch series is going to release on every Friday after May 7th. Venomous Prime says, would you have liked to see Star Wars Underworld? Very, very, very much. Just because of the ambition that it had and all the stories that were going to happen in it. I mean, there's guys who worked on it, and what I liked about it is that, it wasn't just George Lucas who was making this. He brought in screenwriters. He brought in people to actually work on that game. Work on that show and do it. And it was going to be on ABC, which would have been very interesting for the future of Star Wars. The budget was just too big. I mean, Lucas is a very ambitious person, ahead of his time as usual, and it was just way too ambitious for the time. But this show was going to deal with certain Star Wars characters, and it was going to be how do you explain it? It's not like it's going to focus on one person. It's like every episode, if not every little arc, is going to be someone different. And one of the favorite ones that I had was learning about Palpatine. There was going to be something involving Palpatine's life before, I think, his rise to the Empire and his just his life in general. And one of them was going to be about this woman that he was in love with. And apparently Palpatine was in love with this evil woman. The guy who wrote it and described it, and pardon my French, but said she was an absolute bitch. Like, she just completely wrecked this guy's life. And I think that's a very interesting and powerful story for someone like Sheev Palpatine to be in love. And then whatever happens, she just ruins his life and he just turns to the dark side. I mean, look at that man. That is the face of a man who has seen some shit. So yeah, I think that would have been very interesting. Star Wars Underworlds is one of those great ideas that never happened. And there's so much that was written. There were so many things that were filmed. Sorry if you hear my dog Leia snoring in the background. Jesus. I know there's people out there who have a lot more footage of Star Wars Underworld, and there's also people out there who have all the scripts for it. If anyone knows anybody, I won't say anything. You know what? I won't even tell you guys that I have it. I just want to have it, look at it, and then maybe 10 years from now, kind of sprinkle it out, tell you a little thing. So if anyone's got some hookup, let me know. Reskov, would you consider The Rise of Skywalker to be the most leaked Star Wars project ever? Oh, bar none. Bar none. Maybe The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace had a lot of, leaks, but not leaks. Remember, Weird Al Yankovic, he wrote that song, The Saga Begins, and he wrote that before the movie even came out. He literally, all the words in the song are pretty much what happened in the movie. So that one was leaked pretty much way ahead of its time too, but Rise of Skywalker was more than Rogue One, more than Solo: A Star Wars Story, more than Last Jedi, more than Force Awakens. It was pretty bad. And that's crazy because I remember hearing from, but there's a reason I didn't really believe a lot of the leaks, is because, of course, there were some fake ones, but the Jedi Paxis ones were very real. Because Jedi Paxis, of course, is an extremely credible source. Bestman Bulletin came out with some, and then MakingStarWars.net. They call themselves like the trinity of credible leakers. And so what happened is, I remember talking to someone who works on set for Rise of Skywalker. They were like, dude, security's strict. You have to have a badge to get in. They're using iPads for facial recognition stuff. Like, it's intense, like how secret they want things to be. And then the whole thing leaked like months and months and months before the film even came out. I heard a few things that came true. I'm not a leaker in terms of movie scripts, stuff like that. I don't like having a movie story leaked and know the entire plot before I even go see the movie. I think that's incredibly stupid of the Star Wars fandom that we do this to ourselves all the time. But one thing that I had heard that came true was what are they called? Sith. Those guys that Palpatine has. I can't remember what the guy described them as to me, but he just called them like Sith worshippers or something like that. But basically, those guys, those hooded cloak guys who were working on Exegol with Palpatine, they were all whispering in the back, fucking weird shit. And I remember hearing about that, and then I was also told that Han Solo was going to be in the movie, and that one I didn't even believe. Like, when my friend told me, he was like, "Hey, bro, Han Solo's going to be in the new movie." And I was like, "No, he's not." And like I would fucking know. And yeah, he was right. So looks like he was all correct about that stuff, which, props to him. But yeah, I didn't believe a lot of leaks just because I didn't keep up with them, and I avoided them at all cost. If you could remove one film from canon, what would it be? I'd choose The Rise of Skywalker. Last Jedi. Will Star Wars Acolyte be about Plagueis? I would hope so. That's a common speculation among a lot of Star Wars fans, is because it is 50 years before The Phantom Menace, and that's right at the time Plagueis would be an apprentice or just now starting out his journey. Apparently, Variety is the one who said this is a female-centric Star Wars show, so that kind of changes the narrative around that. But who's to say he's not training a young Sith apprentice that's a girl, or maybe his Sith master is now a woman? We really don't know. There's a lot of possibilities with Acolyte that we haven't had any solid details on. Reskov, thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. He said, would you consider The Rise of Skywalker most leaked? Yeah. You asked that, but I'm glad you super chatted me to ask it again. But yeah, that one was leaked a lot. And people kind of give me shit. I can't remember where or how recent it was, but someone got mad at me for saying that a lot of the leaks for The Rise of Skywalker bullshit and like how wrong I was about that. I was wrong on The Rise of Skywalker in one sense, and that is I gave J.J. Abrams way too much credit. I really thought that man could turn everything around. I was hyped for The Rise of Skywalker. I remember saying multiple times on my channel in 2019 that JJ can fix this. I have hope in JJ because he had a little bit more creative freedom on that movie than he did The Force Awakens, and that's largely because Bob Iger stepped away. The Force Awakens was the most involved Bob Iger had been in a movie in a very long time. So that's why I really had a lot of confidence in JJ. And I got slapped in the face with a dick for believing that, because good God, that movie was not fun or good. But I think that one had a lot of leaks just because of maybe the people who are working on set, maybe the nature of the film, and like the lack of interest people had after The Last Jedi. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that we're never going to know. One thing, I'll talk about it later. How about that? Maybe another day. Maybe another day when we actually, maybe in a documentary or maybe something else. But I think we all kind of knew that JJ's not overly happy with what The Last Jedi did. I wonder why we haven't gotten deleted scenes from The Rise of Skywalker. Is Disney trying to hide something from us? I doubt it. I think because you got to remember that film was like extremely tight in production. There were some scenes filled for like the Oracle, I think is its name, the big giant baby with a spire looking guy on top of his head on Mustafar. That is something that they apparently filmed. But just because they filmed something doesn't mean they fixed it in post or were really like continuing with it, did a lot of editing, special effects, or anything like that. So some scenes may just not have been like on practical sets that make it actually look good. So that may be one reasons why they haven't released it. But they also did the same thing for Rogue One. A lot of the stuff like for Rise of Skywalker was changing on a daily basis on where the story was going to go. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So we may see a deleted scene from The Rise of Skywalker and go, oh, that's really cool. But wait, that makes no sense in the context of the movie. And then JJ would have to say something like, yeah, because that is like alternate reality number one for what The Rise of Skywalker could have been. Because we filmed so many different versions and the script was constantly being rewritten as the movie was being filmed. I mean, they really, man, like, I don't know why Disney just didn't delay the movie by a year or two. I mean, just give it time to fucking do its thing. This whole, we got to release one every 2 years mentality was not smart. And I've always said it. They've rushed the hell out of the sequels. Julian Lopez says, is there going to be a season 2 of Bad Batch? Yes, there is. It will come out in 2022. Not sure when in 2022. I think we're going to get The Mandalorian in February of 2022 because that's when the Book of Boba Fett series would end. After that, probably Bad Batch. So like Bad Batch maybe in the May or summertime as well. That would make a lot of sense. And if not, then the Kenobi series. But I think the Kenobi series is going to be at the end of 2022. Bad Batch would be in probably May 4th again. We're probably going to see Bad Batch Season 2 a year from its initial release. That's interesting. Hello Ho says Rogue One and Solo was at one point going to be an episode of Underworld. That makes a lot of sense. Kathleen Kennedy and others at Lucasfilm have said they want to integrate a lot of stories from Star Wars Underworld into what we have in the modern day Star Wars content and canon. So that makes a lot of sense, and I will believe you on that just because that lines up with what I would expect. Ben Bamboo says they were doing test marketing with the Rise of Skywalker leaks. That's funny. CC8 says, do you think The Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars film? I don't know if I think it's the worst. It's kind of crazy to me how many like awful Star Wars films there are, in my opinion. I hated The Last Jedi. Does that mean it's an awful film? No, but I mean, because it has the best cinematography out of every Star Wars film, so that's something. Was it directed well? Yeah, you could argue that. I just don't think it was written well. And that's the same for The Attack of the Clones. That's the same for Rise of Skywalker. So all three of those films, in my opinion, are kind of tied for just being not great at all. And like The Phantom Menace is like a slight level above them. But for me, it's also hard to say that The Phantom Menace is better than The Last Jedi, because The Last Jedi is at least trying to have some deeper meaning to it. I think it failed on that, but it's trying to have a deeper meaning to it. The Phantom Menace, not so much. So it's really hard because there's the differences in their strengths and weaknesses are completely like they vary a lot. Like Attack of the Clones, cool action. Like Attack of the Clones has better action than The Last Jedi. It has better action than The Rise of Skywalker. But The Rise of Skywalker, it has Palpatine in it, and it has like the Sith on Exegol and all that stuff. I was trying to think of Sith purists, Sith worshippers. I was trying to think of the thing that the guy told me about what his role was in that, because I know a guy who played one of them. But anyways, I can't remember the name of it. But like the Sith aspects of The Rise of Skywalker are kind of cooler and are better than what we have in Attack of the Clones and better what we have in The Last Jedi. So that's a strength that it has. And also the pacing in The Rise of Skywalker is really fucking fast. The pacing in The Last Jedi is really fucking slow. And the pacing in Attack of the Clones is almost non-existent because it just nonstop drags on. So it's a lot of different strengths and weaknesses for all three of those movies that it's really hard for me to say one is bad and it's worse than the other two. The reason I have never released, or maybe I have, I just haven't done it recently. A lot of people have asked me for it, a top 10 Star Wars films, is because I have like my top 5 and the rest I just don't even give a shit about. Like the rest you could eliminate from Star Wars forever and I wouldn't really care because I'd be like, they were whatever. I've always argued, and I know it pisses some people off, if the prequels were truly good, George would have never sold the franchise, and then you would have never gotten the sequels you all complain about so much. So in the end, it's always George's fault. It's a very simplistic, oversimplified explanation of it, but that's my explanation of it. Thank you guys for the super chats. More Awesome Metal says, are you optimistic on the future of Lucasfilm and what they will give us? Are things going to get worse or better, in your opinion? If if what my big scoop coming this probably next week comes to fruition, I think the Star Wars fandom is going to be happier than they've almost ever been. I think it's going to be the happiest Star Wars fans have been probably even before 2015 when The Force Awakens came out, because that was a big time for us. But if what I've been told is going to come true, you guys are in for a great time, and the fandom will rejoice. I'll put it like that. So I'm going to keep on it with. I do think things are going to get better. I think the future of Star Wars content is really bright. We have so many shows in the works. We have so many projects that are going on, movies that are all stemming from different directions. We're trying a new era, which I think is kind of nice to see, because for some weird reason, Star Wars creators, like people when they come to writing Star Wars in an era like the High Republic, even before the High Republic, just something that literally has no context. Like when you go, okay, let's make a Star Wars story 1,000 years before the Skywalker saga and just start from scratch. They don't like that, because you have to be really original, and you have to be original inside of this beautiful, beautiful sandbox that we have called Star Wars. And that's very hard to do, but you got to have some balls and just go for it. And they're kind of doing that with the High Republic, and I like that. And I've enjoyed the High Republic so far. I'm reading the second book right now, Into the Dark. It's not better than The Light of the Jedi, but I'll put a review for that when I'm done with it. I'm right now I'm reading a review, or not a review. I'm reading the book, Alphabet Squadrons. What's it called? It's somewhere around here. I think I left it in my bathroom. It's called Victory's Price, and that's the third book in that trilogy. So I'm trying to finish that before next Tuesday when it releases, so I can put a review for you guys on Tuesday. And sorry if you can hear the hot rods in my neighborhood driving by. Also, speaking of books, one cool thing I'm going to have for you guys going forward, if you know that that book that's coming out in August of this year, Secrets of the Sith, if you want to get that, if you want to pre-order it, don't do it yet, because I'm going to be able to get you guys a discount code for that. So if you want to pre-order that new Star Wars books coming out later this year, Secrets of the Sith, that's going to be narrated by Emperor Palpatine, do not buy that book yet, because your boy Star Wars Only is finally doing some good work for you guys. I'm going to be able to get you guys a 35% discount off that book when it goes up for, I think it's already up for pre-orders, but once I get the code for it, so you guys get a 35% discount once they start doing the marketing for it, I'm going to hook you guys up with that. So if you've bought it or haven't yet, just don't buy it yet. I will help you out with that, because that is what Star Wars Only does. So things are improving for Lucasfilm. I know culture war wise, people are upset. We're not, me included, not very happy with what happened with Gina Carano, but that's the politics of Star Wars. When it comes to the content of Star Wars, we're in a great time. I have no idea why people let some things like Gina Carano ruin what their expectations are for Star Wars. They're like, oh, there's nothing to look forward to now. Like, they ruined it because they fired Gina Carano. It's like, really? Gina Carano has absolutely nothing to do with what's going to happen with the next 3 movies, or the High Republic, or the Ahsoka Tano series, any of that stuff. I love her. I'm sad she was let go, but come on, like, let's be reasonable here. Joe Chase says, do you think Trevorrow's episode 9 would have been better? I actually do. And the reason I say that is because it actually felt like it fit into the trilogy of the sequel films. It felt like a natural successor to episode 7 and 8, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. Finn's character, for one. Finn would have led the charge against the First Order on Coruscant. He would have gathered the stormtroopers, and I need to read the actual script of it. I don't know why I haven't read the entire script, but we had a lot of concept art. We had the scripts leaks for it and everything. The entire script leaked for it. And funny thing about the guy who leaked that, he's now been canceled on Twitter too. It's funny how shoe falls on the other foot kind of thing. But anyways, the script for that had Finn as a more integral character, and he was going to rally the stormtroopers and basically say something along the lines of like, you know, they've kidnapped us from birth and we got to fight back. Like, this isn't right. And he was right. And that never happened in The Rise of Skywalker. Finn didn't have a character arc in that. So Duel of the Fates would have really solidified his character arc. A little bit more of Rey. Rey probably would not have done well in terms of people thinking she's a Mary Sue. That still would have been a narrative going around. But it would have tied in the Mortis planet. Like, Mortis would have been the final battleground for Rey and Kylo Ren. And that would have made a little more sense in terms of their powers, because then you would go, okay, well, they're on a Force planet, basically. And it would have been really cool to see the ones. You probably wouldn't have seen them in person because they're dead at this point. But, like, seeing the planet itself, maybe seeing the temple that they were in, seeing like statues of them or just art of them in live action would have been amazing. Plus, she would have apparently died and then go back to see Obi-Wan, I think Anakin, Luke, maybe I think Yoda was there, and Mace Windu probably. That would make more sense too. But like all that stuff, her seeing them, that would have made sense. The final battleground being Coruscant for Trevorrow's episode 9, all that would have made absolute sense. The only thing that didn't work for Colin Trevorrow's episode 9 was Carrie Fisher's unfortunate passing. Leia's character would not have worked in his version of episode 9 because she passed away. And I know some people speculated that Luke Skywalker dying was a big deal for Colin's episode 9. Like, he didn't want that. But in his version of episode 9, the scripts and the concept art we've seen, Luke was just going to toy with Kylo Ren the entire time. He was going to be a Force ghost and just fuck with Kylo Ren for most of the movie. And that all made sense too. So I really have no idea where the creative differences went with Lucasfilm. And to be fair, Colin Trevorrow's script wasn't perfect. There's some problems with it. And also, he was a very complicated person to work with, apparently. He kind of had like a diva mindset after Jurassic World released. I don't know if he's the greatest or best director in the world. I don't think I've seen any of his work. I don't watch the Jurassic Park movies. I've seen the first one. After that, it's cool, but I haven't gotten to it yet. How about that? So he's supposed to be, or was supposed to be, like the Steven Spielberg protege, like the next guy, and he just didn't fill that up. So maybe his movie wouldn't have been good. Maybe they wouldn't have liked what he had done with it in terms of directing, but I really wish they would have kept his script because it sounded great. All right, going through Azur says they don't care about Gina Carano. Mentioning her name just brings them clicks and money. Yeah, after that Ben Shapiro interview, I'm kind of done with that whole topic in general. I mean, if more comes out about it, I'll talk about it, maybe do a live stream. It's an interesting talk, don't get me wrong, but I mean, what can we do? There's nothing we can do anymore. It happened, it sucks. Let's get over it. All right, I'm going to take a drink of water. It's not alcohol, it's just water, I promise. There we go. All right, going back to the comment section. Do you think the scratch Boba Fett arc from the Clone Wars could be in the Bad Batch? Ooh, he's talking about what we would have seen in season 7 of the Clone Wars. There's some unfinished episodes or I think that's what it was called. And one of them was Cad Bane and Boba Fett like having a little bit of a falling out and a shootout, and that's where you see the dent on Boba Fett's armor. That could be. I don't think it would be in season 1. I think that would be in something like season 2 or 3 if they go with that. I don't know. I hope that happens. I really want my friend and just great guy in general, Daniel Logan. If you guys don't remember, he played young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones. He's been really growing in popularity in the fandom. He's been a very, very positive voice in the Star Wars fandom, and I got to meet him in Chicago at the convention center. I didn't like get an autograph, but like I bumped into him, and he was just the nicest person in the world. And like he'll like from time to time he'll DM me and be like, "Hey, happy Halloween, buddy," and everything like that. And just very, very good guy. So I think he should probably come back to Star Wars just in general. And I think if history is any evidence, Lucasfilm will listen to Star Wars fans if they want someone to come back, if they want something to happen. They'll do it if the fandom demands it enough. So if you guys want someone like Daniel Logan to come back, you got to start asking Lucasfilm to do it. We got to make like a bring back Daniel or bring back young Boba hashtag. Someone come up with a catchy name for it, and we'll get that going. But he really wants to come back, and I think he deserves to. More Awesome Metal, thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. He says, would you consider at some point making a Disney versus the fans part 2, taking the events where you left them in the current video by the end of 2018? That is probably going to be my next documentary. And my last one came out December of last year. I'm a little disappointed because it didn't get all the views, of course, that I wanted it to. The last 2 reached like 1 million views, and that was really fun and exciting. I hate the first one that I made because it's just so poorly made. I talk extremely fast. The music is the same, and it's very loud. The editing's not good. So I want to fix that. And it's funny. Me and my girlfriend got in a little bit of an argument about it. This only, not like an argument, but like a debate where I said, I really want to delete it and just get rid of it. And she's like, okay. And I was like, maybe do a remaster of it, like fix it and then put it out, and it's like the same thing and everything, but it looks better and it sounds better. She's like, oh, so it's like the special editions. I was like, well, no. She's like, so you're saying, because some people have said don't delete it. And she's like, so you're saying you're going to delete that, make it where no one else can look at it, but you're going to make a new version and it's improved because you, the creator, said it's improved. And then everyone has to deal with that, even though people want your original one. I'm like, well, that's not, I hate it when she's right, but that is kind of what it's like. So I have been thinking about, deleting the old video, and if I do that, it will be when I release this follow-up sequel to it. And it will be. Here's the thing: when I make another one, I don't know if I'll title it Star Wars Disney versus the fans, or Star Wars the fans versus Lucasfilm, the fans versus Disney, whatever it's going to be called. When I make that, it is going to be kind of a remaster of the old one. It's going to be a sequel. Don't get me wrong, because it's going to continue on that story from 2018. Probably up until 2022, because that's likely when I would release that documentary, since it'll be 10 years since Disney bought Lucasfilm. But it will go through the entire events of all that, like 2012 onward, and just deal with everything. So that is something that's going to happen. That is something that's I'm not going to say in the works, because I haven't started writing the script for it or anything like that. But if I'm planning on a release in 2022, I guess it would be a good idea to start, slowly typing it out, so I don't have to rush it or anything like that. Just get the script going, have it done ahead of time, maybe a year ahead of time, and then in 2022, just work on editing it and maybe bringing in some people. You know what I want to do for this one? I want to interview fans. I would like to do that as well. I like the idea of. I always tell the story, and when it comes to something like this, I like telling it naturally. I don't like being I don't know. There's one Star Wars sequel documentary made by Echo Base Network, I think, and I felt bad because they reached out to me and really wanted to hear my opinions on it. I didn't want to be rude, but I told them, I was like, hey, I think you guys just are kind of like willfully misleading people with a lot of the stuff you're saying, because they got just stupid things wrong, like where they said like Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4.1 billion, and I'm like, guys, it's 4.05. Like it's something you can just Google. Like, how did you get that wrong? And then they said things that were just very misleading and like blatantly lies, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to be a dick, like I'm saying, but one of them was saying that because I think it was narrated by Doomcock, which I also hated. But they said that a lot of fans were reluctantly excited for Episode 8 after Episode 7. Like, where the fuck were you in 2015 and 2016? Everyone was excited for Episode 8 after Episode 7. They're like, come on. So I don't want to do something like that where I make a documentary and I tell you how people feel. And I'm like, oh, the fandom didn't like this and it was awful or something like that. Because that's me giving you a subjective opinion. I like being objective with it, where we look at it and go, here's how everyone reacted, and I'm going to show you clips of people reacting to it, and you take it as you will. Just naturally tell the story as a chronological timeline of events. And that's one positive reaction I had from the first documentary, is that a lot of people were like, hey, this is very factual. There's no bias in this, because there wasn't. And so I'm trying to do that for the second one. So that will come eventually. When is most likely going to be 2022, Probably in December. Yeah, probably December 2022. I guess that's an early announcement from your boy Star Wars Only, the next documentary. Title unknown, working in project kind of thing. But thank you for asking. I'm glad that you people take a interest in my my documentaries and those kind of big projects. Did I miss the Ray's return segment? No, but honestly, that's a good segue into that conversation, because apparently Daisy Ridley's actress, what the fuck did I just say? Daisy Ridley, the actress who played Rey, said that she would be willing to return to Star Wars in the future. And I can hear Palpa memes and Goldman just cheering in the comment section and wherever they're at right now. And they will be very excited for her to continue her story. I am semi-interested in Rey going forward. I just want to see what the Star Wars world is going to be like after Episode 9. Rey just does not interest me as a character at all. I think they could get Daisy Ridley back pretty easily, and I think the fact that she said she wants to come back is likely going to be cause for them to say, okay, cool. But like I said about Daniel Logan earlier, Lucasfilm, I'll give you guys a little bit of a scoop right now from what I heard from my sources past week, is that Lucasfilm is really interested in kind of doing nostalgic things. They're looking at Star Wars right now a little bit with rose-colored glasses. Now that the sequels are over, they're really looking at what content to go forward with. And one of them is going to be the fact that there's so many things they can bring back from older Star Wars stuff. And one of the examples, of course, is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So a lot of people over there at Lucasfilm, in terms of the creative department, are trying to bring back characters of old that we like. And that's why I mentioned Daniel Logan, is that a lot of people kind of want him back now. So if there's enough demand for that, Lucasfilm is going to notice that and do that, because they actually are listening to the fans at this point. And I can't tell you who they're looking at, because it's not like a YouTube channel. They're not like watching certain YouTube channels being like, oh, this person said this, we should do that. But they're watching certain fan sites. They're watching Twitter. They're watching Instagram. They're watching the social media of the Star Wars community and seeing what people are interested in. And because why would you not want to market to your audience and go for what they're going to pay for? And so one of those things is going to be nostalgic characters. If there's a demand for Rey to come back, Lucasfilm will do that. Personally, though, I don't see that demand right now. I see people on Twitter doing it. I see like sequel fans being like, we want Rey. But it's not like when they put that out, you're not seeing something that gets like 1 million likes or even tens of thousands of likes. It's just a couple thousand people going, yeah, I want Rey back. I don't think that's going to catch Lucasfilm's attention and interest. They really want something that's going to appeal to the entire broad audience of Star Wars fans. And unfortunately, the sequels aren't there right now. So maybe in 5 years, when the sequels have time to marinate with the Star Wars fandom, maybe when the new films come out and people don't like them and they like the sequels a little bit more, they'll go, okay, there's a lot more interest in the character of Rey. Let's bring her back in some way. Let's do a little bit of a time jump. Let's do a movie or a series that takes place 10 years after the rise of Skywalker, and that's how we'll continue Rey's story. So there's a lot of options for Lucasfilm going forward with that, but I don't know how likely they are to bring back Daisy Ridley as Rey, just because, she's going to be busy with other work, and it really depends on if they want her to come back or not. I have no idea why my talking is making my throat slowly hurt a little bit more. It hasn't happened, so sorry about the pauses to drink water. Usurper says, where is that OnlyFans account? Well, you're on it, man. If you subscribe to Star Wars Only, you are an only fan, because I am Star Wars only. Lucasfilm is very fan servicey these days. The one film I did feel it right is Last Jedi. You didn't feel it, or you did feel it? Because I don't think there's a lot of fan service in The Last Jedi. And I think that was a conscious choice by Rian Johnson. I think he was just trying to tell a story. Love him or hate him, he was just trying to tell a story in his own way. He wasn't trying to, ruin Star Wars. I mean, that's weird. SN7 says, do you think Tom Kane could recover from his stroke and return to voice Yoda in the future? Personally, I hope so. I mean, I've heard he's on the up and up and feeling better. I feel awful about that. I mean, he's a little older, but not like old. And, you just want someone like him to always be in good health. It's sad to hear that there's been some people in the Star Wars community that have been going through that. J.W. Rensler is a famous author in the Star Wars community. He's going through cancer right now. So it's just sad. It's sad to hear, time is a bitch, and so is age. And so I really hope Tom Kane can come back and do better. And, prayers for him and his family. I really hope things are getting better for him. More Awesome Metal says, I don't believe they'll ever revive the sequels again. These movies are going to age poorly, and the kids around don't care about Star Wars. They are the MCU generation. I'll take your argument on the MCU generation part of it, but you're quoting basically Mike Stoklosta from Red Letter Media when the prequels came out, and a little bit after he put out his review for the Star Wars prequels, the Plinkett reviews. He said that, I don't think kids like the prequels. I don't think they're going to age well. I think in 10 years from now, they're just going to forget about them. And look what happened. They're more popular than they ever have been since they released. So, time does that. Rose-colored glasses do that. Nostalgia does that. So I do think that they'll probably not revive the sequels in the way they are. Well, maybe they will. I mean, we have The Mandalorian, but that's doing something different with a sequel trilogy. I think we're going to continue the sequel trilogy story in probably like 5 or 6 years. It's not going to be something that's right now. It's going to be something that they're going to wait a little bit more for. And I do think there are going to be kids who grew up with the sequels who love them 10 to 15 years from now. But I don't think it's going to be on the level of the prequels because, like you're saying, this is the MCU generation. But that doesn't mean it's the same audience. There can be people who love the Marvel Cinematic Universe and still love the Star Wars sequels. It's not one or the other. I mean, they have options. Do you think the sequels can be fixed? No, I mean, I don't think you can. And for some people, they don't need to be fixed. Like I said about a lot of stuff that we don't like, it happens, it sucked, but I'm over it. I'm getting, and I'm not targeting this at you, but I get really annoyed with certain people, and maybe the fandom diminished, but just in Star Wars in general, who constantly use the sequels as like the crutch to anything that happens in the future of Star Wars. Like we talk about the Acolyte show or Star Wars Visions, just a project that isn't like the Kenobi series or the Ahsoka series, something those guys are going to like. But you talk about something like that, they're like, well, I don't want to watch it because they ruined it. They ruined Star Wars with the sequels, bro. And it's like, okay, what the fuck do the sequel trilogy and like the directors and the writers, all the crap that went into those films, what the fuck does any of that have to do with the Acolyte show? Not a goddamn thing. Not even a goddamn thing. It's different writers. The only thing that's even similar is like the producer, which is likely just Kathleen Kennedy executive producing it. But the directors or the writers are completely different. So it makes no sense to it's like what we did in the prequel trilogy days, where we go, oh, the Clone Wars is coming out. Oh, well, it's in between the prequel trilogy, so it sucks. I don't want to watch anymore. Like, no, the Clone Wars is great, and the prequels suck. How about that? Like, that's how I look at it. I don't like the prequels, but I love the Clone Wars. You can like both. You can't use a certain piece of Star Wars content to say another piece of Star Wars content is not good. All right, I didn't like Star Wars Rebels, but that's not because I liked the Clone Wars. I just didn't like Star Wars Rebels because there's so much filler in that series that is mind-numbingly boring. And the characters just didn't really interest me that much. It's aged better, but that just goes to show that that's how we Star Wars fans react to things. Normally, we have a little bit of a pushback, I think we're all, it's going to trigger some of you, I think we're all natural conservatives. We don't like change. And when there's change in Star Wars, we're like, no. But then as time goes on, you go, okay, well, I'm used to it now. Now I don't want you to change that up. Oh, you're making a new trilogy? No, I don't like change. That's how it is. I forget who the author was, but he said in the People versus George Lucas documentary, he said fans want what they liked, and he said, so give them more of that. Not something different, not something continuing that. Give them more of what they liked, and that's how a lot of people look at this stuff. The creeps who wish for Rian Johnson's death on Twitter 24/7. You know who's fucking weird? That ruined the man baby guy. That dude is just fucking insane. Like I first I thought it was like, all right, like when it first happened, like he first started making videos, like okay, it's kind of funny, sure, but like he just keeps going in the sense of like making these cringe singing along songs, and like he was trying to clap back at Eckhart's Ladder because he said something along the lines of like, no one knows who you are, Eckhart's, and that he's irrelevant. And it's like, dude, you are the last motherfucker to talk, because Ruin the Man Baby has like, I think less than maybe 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, probably like a couple thousand, maybe even 10,000 followers on Twitter, as opposed to Eckhart's, who almost has 1 million subscribers on YouTube and like 27,000 followers on Twitter. I was like, bro, who the fuck are you to talk about irrelevant and no one knows who you are? Like, bro, it is borderline creepy that this guy has a mask of Rian Johnson that he puts on. He starts dancing to him, and he puts on a wig and stuff. Like, I get it was funny at first if he just kept the name and just tweeted funny shit as Rian Johnson, because I appreciate some parody. If you do it with George Lucas, if you do it with J.J. Abrams, that's funny. Sure, I'll take it. But when you start dressing up as the guy and start like doing shill wars, like tournaments of like vote who your least favorite shill is and all that stuff, like, dude, what part of like when do you move on with your life? Like, how fucking long are you going to hate Rian Johnson? It's so weird. It is incredibly weird how almost insane people get over Star Wars fan or Star Wars in general. Robert Ebert made a great quote about it, where he was saying something like, you know, people use the fandom as an escape from actual reality, but they don't really want to talk about Star Wars. They just want to camp out of a tent because that's what they're used to. It's hard to explain, but I'll have to go back and get that quote one day. It's hilarious how many prequel fans rewrite history to fit their narrative. The hate for those movies was the same, if not more, than the sequels. Oh, it was awful. You're right. I hate the revisionist history that we have with a lot of prequel fans, where I hear this one a lot. Here's a common thing I hear from the prequel fans. Well, I didn't really know that no one liked the prequels until I got on the internet. Okay, well then, I mean, what? This is going to sound awful, and it's the Gina Carano like hyperbolic explanation, and that is completely insensitive and disingenuous. But that is like saying I did not know the Jews had it so hard until I read history books. Like, just because you didn't know something happened doesn't mean it did not happen. Okay, and so this weird mentality of, oh, no one hated the prequels when they came out, everyone loved them, it's just the internet that hated them. No, there were toy companies that went under because they overproduced on Star Wars prequel toys and no one bought them. The backlash towards The Phantom Menace was very, very real. There's a reason George Lucas addressed these concerns in interviews. There was a college student who asked George Lucas when he was giving a speech at her school, who said, as someone who is into, what's the name of it? Anthropology. What is your reaction to people who called your film The Phantom Menace racist? This was back in like 2001. And George got pissed off at the girl. That's when he was like, you know, critics, they're not creators, right? Critics, they just destroy things, right? You never heard a critic who created a movie, did you? No. All they do is destroy shit. They don't know how to make anything up. It is how things happened in the prequel trilogy. People did not like those films when they came out. George Lucas even said after The Phantom Menace, he said, they're not going to like the second one because it's going to be lovey-dovey, and they're definitely not going to like the third one because it's going to be really, really dark. Now, he was wrong on the third one, but he was right on the second. People did not like the prequels when they came out. There's a reason that they broke history in terms of Attack of the Clones being the first Star Wars movie ever to not be the #1 movie in the box office that year. It lost to Spider-Man 2. That's kind of embarrassing for Star Wars at that time. You know, so many people left work for The Phantom Menace. I made a whole documentary about it. People had bad reactions to the prequels. And if you don't believe that, you're being willfully ignorant. Like, I'm sorry. Just because you're too young to remember, myself included, mind you. I was young when the prequels came out, but I still remember the hate that they had. But just because we were young during that time doesn't mean that it didn't happen. If you even go back to the, you know what? Fuck it. I will do it right fucking here. Let's see. So I'll get another tab for YouTube. I think we could find it on the YouTube video. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and I'll share my screen right now. Share screen. If we go back to 2014, maybe even 13 or 15, I can't remember what specific year it was, but there's that video. J.J. Abrams. I can't type. Let's just do episode 7. Where's that? What's the title of that video where he just is by the X-Wing? Episode 7, X-Wing. Come on. What the fuck? Here we go. Episode 7, X-Wing revealed. It's around here somewhere. Behold. Force for Change. Okay. Star Wars 2015. Force for Change. Okay. I think this, in the comment section of this video, back in 2014, there were people who still made fun of the fucking prequels. Okay. This is also an argument that a lot of people use, is like, well, did you know the prequels actually used more practical effects than the original trilogy overall? Like, more than all 3 of the films combined. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Not only did they have more money, the production of the studio was a lot bigger. Damn, I guess that's it. But there was a post that went around this past week, maybe on this specific video or a different one, where someone was talking about there was this video that went out, and someone said, good, they can't be any worse than the Star Wars prequels. Like, even back in 2014, people hated the Star Wars prequels. It wasn't until these new films came out. It wasn't until people like me, who was a day old when The Phantom Menace came out, grew up and started realizing, you know what, we actually really like the prequels. So yeah, I guess I can't find that specific comment, but whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of hate back then for the prequels as well. Like you were saying, buddy, the revisionist history that we have for that is mind-numbingly annoying. I'm gonna do a few more question, guys, and then we'll wrap up the stream and call it a night. You can't top Spider-Man 2. Pizza. It's Spider-Man 1, not 2. Oh, did that come out in 2012 or 2002? I was going to call it 20-something, but it's not. I think people now like the prequels because of the memes, and since the Clone Wars was a great show, also since the fandom mostly agrees that Revenge of the Sith is good, it makes people love the entire prequel trilogy. That's very true. Revenge of the Sith is always the one they're like, oh, that's really good. And they're right. It's a good movie. And the Clone Wars basically saved the prequels. If it wasn't for the Clone Wars, the characters of the prequels wouldn't have made as much sense. It just really feels natural into that timeline, into that story. So the Clone Wars helped that series, or helped the trilogy a lot in terms of narrative. But also the memes. Man, I cannot tell you, because I hate my Instagram page. I'm going to tell you right now. Follow me if you want funny memes, but my Instagram page is full of a bunch of idiots. Like, people who comment on it and everything. Like, you get the bottom of the barrel when it comes to where they get their news from, and, like, you know, rational thinking. You know, a lot of it's because people are just young, and when it's the internet, you just want to put out the dumbest things in your thoughts. But one thing I've noticed is that when it comes to, like, the comment section, I will see a lot of people talk about the prequel trilogy and be like, I like all the memes. It's so funny because all the memes. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't make it a fucking good movie. Like, do you not realize the reason the memes are so funny is because the dialogue was so bad? Like, that's kind of the irony of it. It's one of those hard to swallow pills right there. Always find hindsight for anything, mind you, can be so funny. Yeah, that's a good point too. I like Revenge of the Sith, but it's not better than Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, no. When I hear people say that Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie, it's better than Empire Strikes Back, no offense. If you say that you like, I don't know. If you say it's your favorite, sure, I will take that. If you say it's your favorite, I'm not gonna. Everyone has their favorites, but when you say that it's better than Empire Strikes Back, I no longer respect your opinion on anything about movies, film, anything. I'm like, okay, well, you are clearly one of those people who like action, lightsaber go boom boom, and you go happy. That's my mentality. J&T Cobb says, would you like a Luke Skywalker TV series / movie set in the Mandalorian era? Yes and no. Reason I say no is because we know after fucking Rise of Skywalker basically made it where after episode 6, he went hunting for artifacts of the Jedi and the Sith and all that crap. So, good God. And it would be cool in concept. For me, I'm kind of Luke Skywalker is my favorite character. So do I want his story to continue? Yes. But I just know how it ends. And that is kind of what kills it for me. Of like, Mark Hamill's older. I wanted to see what Luke did after episode 7 in terms of what he's going to do in these, new sequels. And I found out and I was just completely devastated and disappointed. So I don't really want to continue it. Like, I just want him to do his thing. I don't want a live action. I don't want a TV series or a movie on it because it's going to look weird having him be like a main character, but it's not going to be Mark Hamill. I always talk about member berries, and I don't want that. I would be getting that with this. And it would be different because it's not just a character that I remember, but it would be like a new timeline for him and like seeing what he actually does in terms of his day-to-day activities, training the new Jedi Order and all that. That's cool, but it can be told in a comic book. It can be told in a book. It doesn't – honestly, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Make it a video game. Make a Luke Skywalker video game where you just follow his path as a Jedi after episode 6. He just goes around the galaxy doing things, kind of open world-ish, but it's got a narrative to tell because it's got to fit the canon in a very specific way. Just do it like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think a lot of people would have fun with that. Can you tell us what scoop you got about the executive situation at Lucasfilm, or at least hint at what's happening? I already gave you a hint earlier, and if you were on my Discord, I think yesterday, I gave you the biggest hint I'll ever give for it until I actually talk about it. So, yeah, I'm not going to give any more hints on that specific situation other than what I already gave. But, yeah, I will I'll let you guys know. What day is it? Today is Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. What would be a good day to put it out? Next Monday, maybe? Maybe this week or next week. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. So yeah, that'll be fun. I have that specific scoop, and then I have more to reveal on Tatooine Season 2. So if you guys want to see Tatooine Season 2, it'll come out in March of next month. I was going to say this year, but yeah, March is going to be next month, and it will be in mid-March probably. I can't remember what specific day we would go for, but yeah, we're coming out with Season 2. We're going to have an exclusive scoop to reveal. It will be more details on the other big scoop I have, and this will be the biggest scoop I've ever gotten. This is going to be the biggest thing I've ever done, and I'm happy about it. I'm excited for it. I'm baffled by it. Is it going to come true? I pray to God, just because it's such a big deal. But boy, yeah, I don't want to talk anymore. How about that? I don't want to talk anymore. Yeah. So I laughed at one of the recent comments you guys just put out because you had a good take and an accurate assumption. But anyways, I will let you guys know what that is relatively soon, and we can talk about it more on a live stream later. But thank you all for watching. If you guys enjoy this video, please give it a like, comment, or subscribe, and see me on tomorrow's video. I'm excited to see what we can do. And like I said, Scoop's coming out relatively soon. So thank you all for watching. Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.